Hey guys, LuckyHD here, and in this video, I think I have just uncovered the secrets of how Starla, the most mysterious Loomian, has actually came to Loomian legacy. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Loomian Starla and its extremely evil backstory. If you guys do enjoy this video, make sure to go down there, like, subscribe, and let's get straight into it. Alright, so first things first, let's go over everything that we know with Starla so far. Now, Starla was a Loomian that was introduced to us inside of the UMV update almost 3 years ago. This was a Loomian at the time that people were very curious about because obviously it was a Loomian that you could not get, and to this day you still haven't been able to actually obtain it. Now, whether that be because obviously they're saving it for something else in the future, or a more interesting reason, which we'll be getting into, but we also know that of course Mabel is the actual owner of Starla. This Loomian was specifically given to Mabel because Mabel had a fear of Loomians that was seeded into her brain by her mother. Now, again, Mabel being the sole owner of Starla is definitely very interesting, because again, Mabel had not ever owned any Loomians prior to this. So for this thing to obviously walk up to Mabel and choose it as its owner is definitely pretty interesting, and might hold darker connotations, which we'll be getting into later in this video. Now, before all of this though, we know that Starla was running around inside of the route with the UMV, and it came across this one man and all that stuff, and again, there's that entire thing of the guy getting freaked out by it, right? But even before this, we know that Dr. Vanta had some sort of relationship with Starla. Now, whether that be that he owned Starla, or whether that be that he just recognized it out in the wild one day, we know that Dr. Vanta has this connection because when Starla starts meowing, or doing whatever it's doing, at the soul heart, Dr. Vanta looks at it, and they pan back and forth into each other, until it is revealed that, again, Dr. Vanta had actually encountered Starla before. And ever since then, Starla has been with us on the journey. Now, you might be wondering why I am inside of Judgment's Keep all the way down in Aranata Trench if I'm talking about Starla. Well, we should definitely read the murals that are on the wall. As you guys can see right here, they are all written inside of the Puremine language, but if we start going over them, they actually paint a very, very interesting picture about Starla. Left without a god, we sought for another. A new being created by humanity. Mercy, wisdom, justice. The three made to rule with each other their own virtue. Time of corruption and despair behind us. Undead our new overseer, prosperity abound. In our time or opulence, our deity bore an egg. This news brought happiness, and the kingdom rejoiced. There came some who worshipped the ancient corruption, acting on their wicked plan. They stole the egg, born by our deity. Through forbidden rituals, they sought to revive the ancient evil, Akuari. Corrupting the egg, a foul and twisted monster hatched. Our deity learned of this evil act, igniting a hatred for humanity within it. The Overseer destroyed our kingdom, ending our time of prosperity. Few were those who survived this destruction. Humanity scattered to the four corners to start again. The soul heart and deity abandoned in the ruins of the sunken kingdom. So basically, Novatius, when it was still in its three-headed form, actually ended up destroying a lost city because of the fact that the humans that were there were tampering with the egg that it had bore. Now, basically, if you don't know what that means, is that the dragons, they had an egg. How this egg came to be, I really don't know. I'm gonna be honest, since they're all three, you know, one dragon, unless if they, like, unfused themselves and started. Anyways, as you can see in this picture right here, this is the egg. So basically, considering that, you know, you can see a gem here, here, and here, this was going to be one of the fourth dragons. Kind of like a, almost Keldeo in a sense. If you think of all three of these as like a Swords of Justice type of thing, this would have been the fourth dragon. Now, what this would have represented, we don't really know. But what ended up happening is that people started to corrupt this egg. Obviously, probably some corrupted people that were still left over from Akuari's influence, but they tried to corrupt this egg to bring back Akuari to the real world. And by tampering with this egg, they basically ended up creating an all-new creature that actually came out of this egg. And they describe it as being a foul creature. So whatever this was, this thing was definitely strong. And if you look closely at this image, what does this image remind you of? Okay, I just want to, you know, just take a hard look at it. If you said Starla You would be correct. If you guys remember inside of the cutscene, when Starla's 3 eyes open, this obviously was super weird, first of all, that this kind of just came out of nowhere, but this ended up happening when Starla noticed the soul heart. Now, what does the soul heart and corruption and everything have to do with each other? Well, if you guys remember, Aquari actually wanted to get rid of the soul heart because Aquari was described as something of insatiable hunger. It basically wanted to feed on all of these soul crystals until there was no life left on the planet. And what ended up happening? It went for the soul crystal, and to the point where Levinos actually had to step in and kill itself by using the soul heart's power as well as its own, because it said that it knew it could not defeat Aquari. Eventually, Aquari got subdued, but at the cost of Levinos, and the soul heart obviously remained where it was when we last saw it, inside of the bottom of Aranata Trench. And all of this talk about Aquari feasting off of soul crystals to drain the energy off of the planet definitely is interesting, because where does Dr. Vanta find Starla? That's right, on top of a soul crystal. I feel like this screenshot definitely means more than what it looks like on the surface. Starla isn't just standing on top of a soul crystal, it was feasting off of the energy and the power of the soul crystal until Dr. Vanta showed up, and then it stopped. And again, like I was mentioning earlier, what happens when we actually go down there? Well, Starla's 3 eyes open, and it starts calling out to these soul hearts. What I believe that is going on here is that whatever dark magic was influenced into the creation of Starla being born out of this egg basically made it so that Aquari is using Starla as almost an avatar to control around and possibly manipulate weak people, such as Mabel. Now, think about it. You know, this thing is the product of dark magic. We know magic and all this stuff exists inside of Loomian Legacy. I mean, Aquari is practically a god. Like, it would not be out of question to think that Aquari had some sort of sense in looking at Mabel and realizing that they were a weak and broken person, and thought of the opportunity to actually manipulate them, taking care of it, and obviously feeding it, leveling it up, giving it all this energy, to where finally, at the end of the game, Starla is going to reveal its true nature, and it is going to spawn the new god of Aquari. Now, this might, sound like a crazy theory, but Pokemon Brick Bronze kind of did the same thing. If you guys remember, the Bronze Brick was something that we had with us since the start of our adventure. And what ended up happening towards the end of the story? That same Bronze Brick was actually used to complete the Hoopa portal, causing catastrophe, causing Jake to even be here in Loomian Legacy in the first place. And honestly, it gets even crazier with some of the literary choices that they use for dialogue. Like, they literally say that, oh, well, what if the soul heart was what was making Starla upset? And it even goes into talking about that after the soul heart was destroyed, Starla had calmed down. Maybe because Aquari, or whatever corruption possessing it, finally realizes that without the soul heart, humanity is doomed. I mean, Aquari's name literally means the end of humanity. And even our father says that now that the soul heart is broken, it is unclear what will happen to humanity. So what do I think is going to happen at the end of Loomian Legacy with Starla and Aquari and all of this stuff? Well, we know that obviously the tablet was split up into 8 different pieces. And finally, once we get the 8th piece, all of its power is going to be back together, obviously inside of the tablet. Now, Mabel and, the rest of the gang, they have come to know our parents. So it wouldn't be out of the question to think that whenever this final piece gets put back into the tablet, Mabel is going to be there. And Mabel is probably going to have Starla as well. And what is going to happen from there? Well, Starla is probably going to come out, and the tablet is going to start calling out to Starla, where Aquari, using Starla as an avatar, is going to gain all of this power, and we are going to have to fight Aquari. And if you think that that's far-fetched, think about the secret Pyramide text that we found. All the way back in Sephiroth City, it said that, where force stand fearless, battle a creature of myth. So we are going to most definitely be fighting Aquari. It's just figuring out the circumstances at which that is going to happen. And whether this is right or whether this is wrong, I think there is definitely a lot of merit with certain ideas in this theory that could definitely point to the end of Loomian Legacy. And whether Starla is Aquari or not, whatever it is most definitely some sort of evil, considering that it comes from whatever this is right here. and definitely is going to be interesting to see how things play out in the future. I would like to, of course, thank Aerith for actually decoding all of this stuff and sending it to me. It was really funny when I was reading it over. I had the aha moment of looking at this panel in specific, and I was like, oh my god, that is Starla. And obviously that is what went on for me to create this entire theory, but I would like to hear your guys' thoughts about this down in the comments below. Again, a super interesting theory, and I'd love to hear your guys' take on this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.